Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Sixth Letter to Earth. I am Kyle, and welcome to the podcast. Today is episode 2, the 424 special. That'll come on apparent later on. But anyways, let's get started with the show. So first, we're going to go up to the upfront stuff, and then the main portion will be after I'm rearranging the way I had it last week. I said I was going to save a community box or a little other stuff for the end of the show. I'm going to do that at the front to kind of keep in pair with the show. I want to keep the subjects all together. So anyways, to start off with, I just want to say all my socials, so you can find on my link tree is for gaming. You can follow me on DLive or Twitch. I prefer DLive myself. If you want a good experience, that doesn't have very many people on there, DLive is a great way to go. Easy system for tipping. I like it myself. But Twitch is always a classic. I'm always on Twitch. I have to go through Twitch from my PlayStation to do the gaming. I've been playing a lot of No Man's Sky lately, but I'm hoping to eventually get into other gaming too. TikTok, I'm hoping eventually to do positivity streams, where we go on and maybe you will just send positivity to everyone, say hello, be happy with everyone. If some people need a positive boost, they have been feeling down, I'm thinking of doing something along those lines on TikTok. And all that will be in my link tree attached to this podcast. So, anyways, this is just a little bit of an intro. Usually this is where I talk about the community box, where we talk about past shows, which I gotta say thank you everyone who watched the first episode last week. Last week's episode was about the Battle of Energies. And this week we are going to be going on to a cannabis episode. So, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. So usually this is where I talk about the community box, see what's in there. We'll go from there. But since there isn't anything in the community box, I'm going to do an analogy for the day. And let's see if you can figure out this analogy for the time being. So just so the date is known, is April 24th, 2021 when I'm recording this. So, here's the analogy. So, your kid has broken something, or you think your kid has broken something. You suspect that he has broken it. So you ask the kid to show you the thing that you suspect that they broke. They say no, and they hide it from you. Do you think that thing is broken? Because the kid would not show you if that thing is broken. And on the other side, if you're the kid wanting to prove that it's not broken, why wouldn't you show it? That's just a little analogy for current times going on. Getting semi-political with the analogy. That's pretty much how I'm going to do for that. Anyways, I think we're going to just about get ready to start the actual main portion of the show. Just in case if I don't do this to get it done right, next week's episode is going to be about religion. It's going to be a religion episode, kind of who or what is God, and essentially essentially what I'm gonna do is make it it's gonna be a show about religion, what I think religion is, who I think God is, what God is, and how it all connects into everything I've been doing. And organized religion and just everything about religion and spirituality. I'm gonna try to do that all in one shot. I might not be able to get to all of it, and who is God and what I think he is or they are or what it is. So anyways, we're gonna get on to the next portion of the show. So warning, if you I guess in some places this topic is about an illegal substance and maybe it's not recommended for children. So if you're coming from if you're listening to this episode, note that I am not endorsing anyone to smoke it if it's illegal or participate in any of these activities or about this thing if it's not legal in your country or in your state or if you are underage. I do not recommend it. And technically the show should not be for anyone under the age of 18, but I know you rascally teenagers, you're going to be finding anyways. So, anyways, on to the next episode, on to the main portion of the show. Oh, oops. Oh, no, no. Alright, welcome to the main portion. The 424 special. I'm calling it that because it's not the 420 special. I'm recording this on 424. So that's why it's called the 424 special. Episode 2. It's all about cannabis. It's funny, TikTok, they really didn't really like 420 posts. They didn't allow people to really see your videos if you're talking about cannabis and weed or anything like that. It's like, you guys are trying to push yourself off as a family app, yet you allow fucking teenage girls to twerk on video. But I digress. Let's get into the subject of today, which is cannabis, marijuana, weed, whatever you want to call it, reefer, I guess. Sometimes some people call it that. So essentially, let's talk about my story with it. My story of my history with cannabis and marijuana. Is kind of interesting because to be where I'm at right now is a complete 360 of where I was about for most of my adult lifehood. So, to begin my story, when I was little, I guess it was always in my household. Like before it was legalized, my mom and everyone in my household that I knew, most of the adults did it. I didn't know about it much. There was only one, like I thought one person. I thought that was a cologne or a musk of him. So I always associated that smell with him. I didn't think anything of it. I just thought it was that guy. So, the adults always went off and did their own thing. They went into their own room, did their own thing. I thought they were just smoking cigarettes or something like that, And then all the kids would be playing by ourselves. Like nothing to it. They always had their basement. We'd never go in their basement. Like they always had their rooms that we never went into. I just never thought about that. I just thought, oh, this is adult rooms. We don't go in adult rooms. That's for adults only. I didn't think much of it. But anyway, so most of my childhood, I was fine, whatever. Weed was, I didn't know what weed was. I didn't know if it was a drug or anything like that. My first real negative experience came when I was about 11, 12. Um, and it wasn't even me who did it. It was my sister. My sister is older than me, and she was going into secondary school. In Canada, where I am from, where cannabis is legalized, my sis, the schooling system we had, not all schools are the same, but we had a school system where they split the schools up into two. Instead of having like a elementary, junior, or middle and secondary, we only had elementary and secondary. So we went to school, kindergarten to grade 7, grade 8 to 12 went to a different school. And my sister was just going into grade 8. Now before this, my sister had really great grades. Like she was amazing at school. She was like, she's top of the class all the time, you know? She was really good at school. Grade 8, from my observation, I noticed that everything started slipping when she started smoking weed. She got caught smoking weed with her friends in grade 8. And I remember my mom was like she handled her in an odd way in my eyes, but I don't know. Uh, but anyways, my sister's grades seemed to have fallen a little bit, and you know, when I was a teenager, I thought maybe, oh, okay, she must be. It's the weed. The weed must have been doing all that. That's what it is. I'm not even a teenager yet. I'm only 12 years old. I thought, oh yeah, the weed. That must be doing it. That must be why her grades fell and she's not all focused in school. You know, I go through all high school, and I also give her a hard time about that. But in the long run, she did graduate. She did really well, and I never thought about it. Who knows? Maybe there's other circumstances that led her to having a little bit harder time in high school. But she did graduate, so congratulations, sister. Um, and she did great, and she smoked weed throughout the entire time. So that kind of shattered that whole myth about that. But I always thought, oh, okay, well, they go away, they smoke it, they get loopy afterwards, right? Okay, it's so I always thought, and the schools are always teaching you, don't do it, drugs are bad. So I was like, oh yeah, it's a drug, it's bad, I'm not even gonna go for it. Throughout my entire adulthood, after I graduated, I was kind of thinking, I just stayed away from weed. I didn't really like the smell. I didn't think it was beneficial at all. I was like, whatever, I don't need it. It's not necessary. It's a drug. I don't need it. I had an ex who did it, and I didn't really care for her doing it, but I did it anyways. I let her do it anyways, and well, that sounds bad. It sounds like I was possessive. I didn't leave her because she did it. Let's put it that way. But I never took part in it because I didn't like the smell, and I didn't think that was needed to help me. Anyways, things go on, relationships go on, and I go all the way up with this feeling that weed's kind of no good. I don't really need it. All till 2020. In 2020, yeah, the year. I should just call it the year instead of saying 2020. In the year, I kind of got piled on with a bunch of things all at once. On top of that, the stress of my work. On top of that, I slipped on some ice and hurt myself a little bit. All piled on all at once in the beginning of March of 2020, and I needed some answer. I needed some sort of release because it was over like 3 years since I drank. I don't smoke. I was thinking, okay, I need a release. So I'm sorry, I need to find a way to calm myself down. The stress is gonna kill me if I don't figure something out. I have been doing a little bit of research, and I've heard about CBD. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna try some CBD oil. And I came to it, and I was like, okay, I don't want to smoke, but I do want to. I'll have edibles. I'll take the effects. I'll just have oils, and we'll go from there. Well, CBD started feeling good. I really love CBD. helps take away that stress, that pain, the anxiety. It calms you right down, puts me to sleep. I have a great sleep with CBD oil. It's wonderful. I love it. And then I decided, oh, I'm going to try CBD gummies. I'm going to try some CBD gummies. And it lasts long. It's good. It's great. CBD is wonderful. And I got to tell you, if I think the most miracle thing is the CBD because I can use that every single night. No issues. It's all good. I love CBD. Anyways, as I was saying, I'd say the biggest miracle thing about this whole weed experience is discovering CBD THC. CBD I feel is the medicinal part. I think that's the real main thing I think people need to focus on CBD. They need to come out with the truth about CBD, and I'll get into a little bit more of that after my story. But THC I find has another purpose, which I will also go into a little later in my story, and later on after the story. But CBD, I was loving CBD, I loved it, and naturally I was having CBD gummies. I was like, you know what? I want to try some THC. So I started having some THC edibles, fell in love with it right away, and I started experimenting with all that. And until this past week, I was doing edibles. But I decided, you know what? The problem with edibles is they last too long. So I decided I'm going to try smoking. For the first time yesterday, I smoked it from a bong. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about the benefits of doing each one, but so that's where we're at right now. And now I'm making this podcast about this. So that is my weed story. How I switched from a complete anti-weed person to someone who's I'm almost enthusiastic about it right now. So, anyways, next portion I'm going to talk about is myths. The things I've thought, or just normal little thoughts here. This is kind of just my ramble on moment of where I'm going to connect it to religion and everything like that. This is one of my this subject. This one is a interesting group of topics. So let's first start off the real reason. I think the real reason why in Canada, why it's legalized, or any country that legalizes their state, is because they want the money. I think they can see a big market in it. Obviously, there's a huge market in there. Like, geez, in my city alone, one neighborhood has in Canada, there's probably more weed shops in Canada than there's Tim Hortons. If you don't know how significant that is, you obviously don't understand. It's like the Starbucks phenomenon in the United States. There's probably more weed shops here than there's Starbucks in a normal city block in the United States. They're open up like crazy, like Spirit Halloween. Spirit Halloween's not gonna have a place to go because all the places are gonna be weed shops. Like, well, who's gonna buy our reused 5-year-old costumes now? We don't have a place to go. There's a freaking weed shop there now. Alright. So yeah, I think the governments really are only using it to get the money because obviously the more business there are, the more business taxes are coming in, more revenue, right? So you get a lot of weed shops going on. It's fine. But I wouldn't be surprised if the weed that they're giving us is not even like really good stuff. It's probably really died down. It's just synthetic and just enough of the plant to get us going. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like nowhere near the real thing that people get or that you could get. Because I'm pretty sure they would want to die down the benefits of that. Because I find it weird. When you go into a weed shop, most of them, if you ask, oh, what kind of health benefits are there? They'll tell you, oh, we're not allowed to say it. It's like a big secret. It's like, but you go online and they'll say, oh, it helps with sleeping, it helps with pain and anxiety, stuff like that, Ugh, excuse me. So it's just like, I feel like it's a big conspiracy, like they don't really want people to use weed instead of their major drugs or what's that called? Opioids. They rather prescribe opioids and painkillers. Have you hooked on them instead of looking at marijuana, weed, or cannabis products, I think. I really do think that that's one of the things that they are doing. They they see the good money in it, probably dying it down, and don't want us to really know the true benefits because, like, with CBD, I barely need Tylenol. I don't use Tylenol anymore. I don't need a sleep aid to go to sleep. I can use CBD. Muscle relaxants, I don't need any of that. Anti-inflammatory, you get some lotions. You don't you don't need Advil, which kind of works for me since I'm allergic. I'm allergic to NSAIDs, so having CBD oil or CBD THC oil to go over areas it's just amazing. So I really do think that the one thing they need to really fix is the display of benefits because they could probably get some more people to come in if they explain the benefits. And I think that's something I hope doctors will eventually come around on because it truly is something else. Like, it's amazing. I really do think they need to get rid of these blinders, but the problem is big pharma is really huge. So I can understand why they won't release it or won't tell you the benefits. But, at some point in time, you gotta let the truth out. I just feel like you can't just hide it behind closed doors forever. I think still giving marijuana a bad name, a bad rep, I think. And I think we could benefit in this world if we just if we were just able to know the benefits of them. Also, the great thing about cannabis is there's so many ways to take it. Like, there's so many ways, and like you have edibles, you want edibles like I was doing. The problem with edibles is that it's like a mystery game. You don't know what kind of high you're getting. You don't really know what strain you're getting in there either. So, like, not as much as when I was buying the bud, because I know for me, I like indica or indica dominance. And I wouldn't know that in my edibles for the most part. They don't really keep track of that, but at least with the flower they do. So um, it lasts longer too with edibles. Then you don't know how long it's gonna last, and then like I'd be missing like usually when I do my stuff around like 9, 10 at night on the Saturday nights, I would do it and then I'd be done until like 1 o'clock the next day, and by that time we all don't want to do anything. We didn't get up and get going, so um, that's one reason why I was like edibles maybe not a good choice. However, it tastes delicious and doesn't hurt your throat like smoking does. Smoking's a little rough on the throat if you're not used to smoking, and that's one thing I'm noticed now. But the one thing is I can control how much I do, and it gets in, it gets out. Don't even have to sweat. Don't have to worry about it being sneaky and not coming right away because it's pretty much there right there when you smoke it. There's more variety. You can control what kind of weed you want and how strong it is, how potent it is. Like, there's just have more options when you smoke it, I find. And when you have edibles, you're kind of limited to what they give you. They can't really give you anything really good. Like, you don't know, and the problem is you could probably have the same amount of weed, or you probably need more weed for the edible high, but you don't want to get that high. It's controlling it is way better with smoking it. Just some benefits I'm saying. And like I said, I'm not endorsing anyone to smoke it if they're underage, but smoking and edibles have their benefits. I've not done shatter or I haven't really done shatter. I don't know what that is. Or dabs. Haven't done that. I just have gone smoking from a bong. So I'm not probably gonna go into that stuff. I'm probably just gonna stick with the bong. Maybe a pre-roll. I don't know. Probably not. I like the bong. The bong's pretty nice. Or edibles. Edibles, I think I'm gonna keep for CBD. Like CBD, you can have. I think CBD edible is not too bad because it's just nice and relaxing. You're not having the psychoactive effects. So the other thing I think with weed and THC, CBD, and all that, I think that gets a bad rep is that it. Some people think that since it's a drug in quotations, that it's not very religious or spiritual to do it, which I'm finding in my like when I was thinking of this episode and I was thinking this theory I had that actually when you smoke weed or get high, you actually connect easier to the second consciousness, which the second consciousness is something I'm going to talk about more in next week's episode. But essentially, it allows you to quickly connect to the upper beings that you pray to. And I feel it allows you to talk to them better, and it helps you go to that upper consciousness a lot easier. So that's kind of how I'm feeling like with it. And actually, and I don't do much research on this, but it's kind of interesting. I had this little theory in my head that actually smoking marijuana, I bet you anything, is more religious than we know. And then I watched a podcast. I listened to a podcast called Tinfoil Hat. Now, I know one thing with his show, someone could talk the crazy shit on there, but Sam Tripoli allows him to talk about whatever, and he acts like, yeah, 100% it's true. But I thought it was kind of cool how he said he had some actual evidence that yeah, using weed is actually religious and spiritual, and that's all kind of stuff I'm going to go into next week too. But yeah, essentially my theory is it allows. I bet you anything, that's probably where the gods are, and if I'm smoking weed getting high, like if you're having CBD, you're nice and relaxed, your body's sores are going away. But then when you have the THC in there, I think it allows you to. It's kind of like a third eye, I guess you could say. I feel like it's open. It's kind of conscious. It makes you loopy, but I think if you meditate at this state, it allows you to get to that second consciousness way easier. Like you can get to that consciousness just by meditating. But with weed and I feel with the THC, you get there a lot quicker. And it's not as hard, and you can get into deep meditation way easier. That's something I find. So I think it's just like unlocks that consciousness quicker. You can work at it just sitting still. But I think the marijuana just kicks it into high gear and gets it going. So, and also, you know what? The freaking one thing I noticed about weed too is it has some sick ass names. Like the stuff I know, Starwalker Kush, like Cold Creek Kush, Afghan Kush. It's all Kush. I seen like lemon pops, Ghost Train Haze. That stuff sounds crazy. Ghost Train Haze. Opa or Appa Kappa or something like that. I heard is it the name like these come with all crazy names. This is pretty cool. Man. Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm thinking with weed and marijuana. I think that's kind of where I'm going to end this show pretty much. So, again, if you like the show, you want to follow me on my social medias, my link trees will be down below. And if you want to add to the topic, I have the suggestion box. Submit something in the suggestion box. It's 100% anonymous. And next week I'll be talking about religion. So that's probably going to be going. So if you want to send in a topic about religion, then go right ahead. I think that would be an awesome thing to get some more people on this. So the community box, you can talk about past episodes, how I did on this episode, what your opinions about episodes I'm talking about or going to talk about, or even suggest some topics. Anyways, guys, I hope you have a wonderful day. Stay positive. One piece of advice, and here's the last message as I go out. If you can't control it, if you can't help the situation, or if you tried your best to control the situation, there's no reason to be so harsh on yourself. There's no reason to dwell on it. If you can't control it, if you've done your best to control it, or if it's not yours to control, there's no reason to worry about it. Just some leaving messages for you guys. Alright, have yourself a good one. And good night.